Hey everyone. Before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to share about a simple and cool way you can support me and the Trip Tales podcast. The world of travel content creation and podcasting is so fun, but it's not necessarily lucrative. While there are often trades, a hotel room or an excursion in exchange for content, there is very little true income. So, if you love the travel content I create on Instagram, TikTok, or through my Trip Tales podcast, one way to show your support is to buy me a coffee. There is this super cool platform for creators like me called buymeacoffee.com. And it's a simple way to show your support for content creators if you like what they are creating and you hope to see more of it. I will link to this page in the episode show notes, and you can also get there by visiting buymeacoffee.com/Kelsey Graves. Lord knows this busy mom of three could use a coffee to help keep me recording and creating, and maybe help with the grocery bill as well. Thank you so much for listening and considering being a supporter. Now, on to today's episode. Welcome to the Trip Tales podcast with me, Kelsey Graves. Let's jump into a new episode exploring a vacation destination that you'll want all the details about. Hey everyone, today I am joined by Caroline, who is going to share about her recent trip to the brand new Conrad Orlando, which from photos doesn't look at all like you are in Orlando. So welcome, Caroline. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, Kelsey. Thanks for having me.
So about a month ago, I saw an Instagram reel about this new Conrad Orlando, and I was completely blown away because from this video, it looked like the hotel was like in the Caribbean because it's located on this huge crystal clear lagoon, which I believe is maybe within a larger property called the Evermore, but we will be sure to cover all of this today. Okay, Caroline, let's start with a rapid fire get to know you. So tell everyone where you live, about your family, and what you do.
Okay, I live in Franklin, Tennessee. I have lived here with my family for about 6.5 years. I'm married and I have 2 kids, one almost 9-year-old boy and a 6-year-old girl. My daughter is actually how I know Kelsey. Our daughters are best friends and went to preschool together. What was my last question?
What you do?
What I do. I am actually a part-time bookkeeper. I own my own bookkeeping firm and have multiple clients that I do their bookkeeping for.
Awesome. And so I had shared a reel about the Conrad Orlando just to my own Kelsey Graves Instagram. And I was like, look at this cool place. This is so amazing. And Caroline, who I know personally, responded to me and she was like, we're going there, or like, we're here. I can't remember if you were going or you were there. And I was like, awesome. I'm going to ask you a million questions about this place.
It was really awesome. I think it was before we actually went because I had seen the same reel that you had shared. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the place we just booked. And we had booked it totally separate from anything I had seen on Instagram. It's brand new. I think it just opened in January. And we booked it through our American Express travel rewards. And so American Express is actually the one who had introduced us to it and suggested that we go there as an option when we were looking at Orlando. And then that reel popped up and I felt like I was ahead of the curve.
Yes. So you guys went for spring break in March 2024, and it was your family of 4 that went on the trip. And so tell me about, because I use Chase Sapphire as my travel credit card. Tell me about getting on your credit card portal and what the decision-making process was.
So we actually use the American Express travel portal quite a bit. We use our American Express for most of our daily purchases. So we rack up credit card points pretty quickly that way. So the American Express their portal has what they call their fine resorts and hotels collection, and it's all luxury hotels. We travel a lot and we are can be a little bit of travel snobs. We really like nicer things when we travel. So we hone in on that fine resorts and hotels collection quite a bit. And with American Express, they are known for their travel partners. And so when you book with their Fine Resorts collection, they actually offer a host of other benefits. They have like a daily breakfast credit. They have a one-time resort credit of, I think, maybe $100 that you can use at a spa, at a restaurant, at a bar, wherever. So we found the hotel through that portal, and that was how we ended up going.
How awesome. I'm like, I feel like I just learned so much about the American Express travel portal. I'm like, I might be applying for a credit card later.
It's so great.
Okay, so how long was your trip total?
So we went for 3 nights. We had actually already had a different plan for spring break, but decided that we just needed a little bit of sun. It's been kind of a long winter of gray and rain and sickness, and we just needed to escape. So we decided kind of last minute that we were going to go to Florida. And that was how we landed in Orlando. And luckily it was nice and warm and sunny, but just 3 nights.
Okay. And speaking of landing in Orlando, how did you get there?
We actually flew on Spirit Airlines, which is not an airline we frequently travel on, but they had round trip flights from the Nashville airport for $100 a seat.
Wow.
Now that's your base price. If you want to pick seats or bring luggage or whatever, you end up having to pay more, but still, just for our family afford to travel, with picking any additional stuff we needed, we still spent maybe $600 on flights. So
that can be like one flight for someone for spring break sometimes. So that's pretty amazing.
It was really, yes, it was great. And everything was on time. We had a great experience. I know not necessarily everyone will always have a great experience on some of these budget airlines, but all was good. We flew.
That is the tricky thing about these, because we've flown Allegiant, and it's like, you never know. Sometimes it can go horribly wrong, or sometimes it can be like so easy, point A to point B. All you really need is a seat. And luckily our flights from Nashville to Florida are short. So you're just kind of like, if you can get me there for cheap, that is fantastic.
Right. Yes. That was the goal, and it worked.
And then how did you get from from the airport to the hotel?
We took an Uber. My son is finally old enough that he doesn't necessarily have to travel with a booster. So we just only had to travel with one booster. And I'll tell you, it's a game changer when your kids grow out of the car seat. So you're not hauling 2 car seats everywhere. But we just took an Uber and brought one booster for my daughter.
Okay, I know. I saw someone in the airport the other day with one of those backpacks where you have the full harness car seat and you look like you're carrying a baby grand piano. And I was like, oh my gosh, the days where we would have like 5 suitcases and then car seats on our back and strollers and diaper bags. It really does just get so much easier.
Oh yeah. I don't know how I always ended up being the Sherpa in our family, but I always had a car seat in the back, a car seat in the front, and then a stroller somehow in the front. I mean, I don't even know how we did it, but the things you do to travel and see.
Yes. Okay. So tell us about arriving to the hotel, like pulling up, first impressions, and how it works being located within the Evermore Orlando area.
So we left after school got out on Friday. And so we did not arrive to the Conrad until dark. I will say, we drove in the Uber, we took an Uber and we drove past the Evermore entrance first. And because we were staying at the Conrad, the Evermore kind of rang a bell. When we were booking, we had seen that it was located within the Evermore Resort, but we didn't really pay much attention. So when we drove past the Evermore entrance, we looked at each other and like, wow, that looks really nice. The entrance of the Evermore. We'll have to take note and look up that hotel later. And then we drove for probably another mile or 2 and then pulled into the Conrad. And it was in that moment that my husband was like, hey, the Evermore, that's part of this. And so the property is just gigantic. If it says anything about, we passed Evermore several miles back and it's all part of the same property. So we pulled up and walked in, and you walk into the lobby, and the back side of it and behind the check-in desk is all glass. And so you overlook the lagoon from the lobby. And so my husband checked in and I took the kids outside, and we went outside, and I told my kids, I said, hey, that's a pool. And they were like, that's not a pool. That's way too big. It's 16 million gallons.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
I read 8 acres of lagoon. I'm like, you think about a 1 acre lot, 8 acres of water, man-made lagoon.
I was told it's the size of 100 standard swimming pools. So
Wow.
if you can wrap your mind around how big that is, it's huge.
That is so cool. I did look up the Evermore a little bit too, which I'm sure we'll talk about more, but that looks like it has a lot of like vacation homes. And so you can rent for like big families or groups, like multiple families, almost like you'd be doing like a seaside 30-day vacation. You can rent a house with like laundry and a kitchen, and then you've got all those amenities as well. So both seem like super cool properties.
Yes, we can get into it more later, but we stayed at the Conrad. I can give you a little insight into the Encore, but we didn't, or at the Evermore, sorry, but we didn't stay there. So I don't have as much information, but I do know they have 3 to 13 bedroom places that you can rent. So you could go with a couple families and stay there. But when we did check into the Conrad, they're very hands-on and service oriented. So we actually had, I think they called it a butler, who literally walked us to our room and then walked us through the room, showing us how to turn lights on and off. Cause it's not just a simple switch. It's all these different, yes, all these fancy things, and showing us where everything was, and just kind of how to optimize our stay. So that was kind of nice.
And what type of room did you book?
We just had a pool view room with 2 queens in it. With the 4 of us, it just seemed the easiest.
And did it
fit? We did have a balcony.
Well,
it did. It fit our family well. Yes. We had a balcony too, which we've discovered when we travel, the 4 of us, it's great to have that balcony because we can put the kids to bed and then go sit on the balcony and not have to go to bed at the same time. Isn't that every parent's complaint about staying in a hotel room with kids? So it's a nice place that we can have a place to leave and escape to, and not have to go to bed at 8 p.m. with our kids.
Totally. I know you guys booked on points, so it's probably kind of hard to compare on how much it all costs and everything. But I looked up like a few months out. I always try to look just to see what things would be a few months out, and it looked like a standard room is running $480, probably like a $500 a night, and it can go all the way up to $1,000 based on different room sizes and types. There was actually a really cool family suite that I was like, oh my gosh, that would be so awesome for our family, because there's like a king bedroom and then a living room area, but in that living room are built-in bunk beds into the wall. So there's 2 bunk beds in there, and then there's like a pull-out couch as well. So there's a lot of different room options just at the Conrad, obviously different price points, but they looked so nice and brand new and beautiful in the pictures.
Yeah, everything was brand new. I mean, it still even smelled new in March. I can't say that it necessarily would in the future, but everything would just still was like sparkly.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so you guys get to bed, and then tell us about your first day, like exploring the hotel, some of the stuff you got into, restaurants, pools, that kind of stuff.
So the first day we decided that we were just going to mostly stay at our hotel and get situated at our hotel. So the first day we went down, they had a breakfast buffet at the their main restaurant, I'm going to call it. It was called Sophia's, and that was where their daily breakfast was. So we stayed there. We had Saturday morning, Sunday morning, and Monday morning. And Saturday and Sunday, they had a breakfast buffet. And then on Monday, they did not have the buffet. They just had a menu with a la carte items. So I think that they only have the buffet on the weekends. But my kids, of course, adored the buffet. They could have anything they wanted. So we woke up and we had breakfast. Actually, before we had breakfast, my husband is the early riser in our family. So he went down and got us some pool chairs right on the edge of the pool.
Smart.
Then, that is his job when we go on trips, because I am a night owl, and so I do not like to get up early, especially on vacation. But
yes, so that's same. His job. So what is his like move for saving chairs? Because I feel like these days you can't just put towels; they're just going to get moved. So does he have like a strategic, like, what does he put down?
Well, I usually have a book when we go on vacation. So he takes my book, and then the kids both, we packed really light, but we let them both bring 1 or 2 pool toys. So they brought, he took the pool toys down, and then I think maybe like his cover up or my kids cover up or something like that. Just little things that are personalized that people know, hey, there's there's someone here. It's not just towels left over.
Yeah.
So that's how we reserve the pool chairs. And I will say, I think there are some bigger, nicer resorts these days that make you pay to get a chair, especially if you want poolside. The Conrad was not that way in March of 2024. I could see them moving towards that model at some point, but it was not that way now.
Did it seem to get super crowded? And what were you like thankful that you had those chairs, or were there chairs all day available?
Actually, no, it was not very crowded at all. And I was shocked because I mean, there's this Instagram hype around it. It's a brand new resort. I think that they're marketing pretty heavily, but no, it was not. I did not feel it was super busy or even at capacity. They did also have like, I'm forgetting what they're called, like the day beds.
That you like a cabana type situation.
Well, they had cabanas that were covered, and then they also had like the chase lounges. I think it's probably more how you would describe it, that those you did have to reserve and pay for. But again, there were so many chairs open in March that we never had a problem finding a chair.
Okay. So pool time.
So we were at the pool for most of the day. The pool is heated. And so in March, it was pretty warm when we were there, luckily, but I don't think it had been consistently warm enough to actually warm up the water. But they said the pool was heated to 82 degrees all year round. So it was.
And when you say pool, are you referring to that huge lagoon?
I'm sorry, no. There is a separate pool that still is pretty large. But we went, there's the Conrad pool. Encore has its own, at least one pool. I don't know if they had more pools on property, but they had their own pool. And then there's the Lagoon was separate.
So that is like not the first thing you walk out to. The first thing you guys like see is the Conrad pool, and then the Lagoon's like off in the distance or something.
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, there is a fence around the Conrad pool, and then right outside of the fence, there is like a walking path that went all the way around the lagoon. And then there were chairs in the sand and then the lagoon. So it was still right there. It just is a matter of like where you come out of the hotel and where you were going. So it's all still right there.
Got it. Okay.
As you can imagine, the lagoon is huge. And so, that's just one section. They call it the Conrad Beach. And that is the section where you can sit next to the lagoon, swim in the lagoon. And that's just right outside of the fence of the Conrad pool.
Okay, got it.
So we just had a pool day at the Conrad that day, the first day. They also had a small splash pad, which was just water spouting out, but they also had these little almost like ride-on toys that were there in the splash pad and different, like there was a shark and a duck, and definitely geared towards smaller children, smaller than my kids. But my kids just had a ball on the splash pad, and we ended up in the splash pad almost as much as we were at the pool. So surprisingly, we spent a bunch of time at both. And then they also had Jenga and they had cornhole. And so they had some other stuff that you could do there on site too. So we spent most of the day there at the pool. They also have servers. So we had lunch at the pool. We went to Orlando to be in the water and in the sun. And so we accomplished that.
Yeah. Definitely. I love a poolside lunch and a server.
Yes, it was great. The server, I do feel the need to mention.
Oh, awesome.
They had this amazing drink called the Rosate, which was a rosé based poolside drink. It was kind of like a rosé margarita. I don't know how many of those I had, but they were delicious.
Is it on the menu or
It's on the menu. Yes. They had some amazing poolside drinks. Highly recommended if you go.
Okay, awesome. And then did you guys make it your way over to the little beachy area or the lagoon that day at all, or just
We did go to just explore in the afternoon. So the walking path around the lagoon, I want to say, was 2/3 of a mile. So it's pretty large. So we just went exploring that day. I think my kids maybe dipped their toe in the water. But there was over on the complete opposite side of the lagoon is where the Encore, kind of their main water activities were. So it was
Evermore.
At the Evermore. Did I say the Encore? I keep
You said
saying
Encore once before, and I was like,
now that's stuck in my head.
Now, like if she says it again, Evermore.
Evermore. It's the Evermore, y'all. Sorry. So the Evermore, that's where their main water activities were. So there was a place where you could rent kayaks and you could rent paddle boards and go out on the lagoon. And the lagoon was mainly for those water activities. They have a couple areas around the outside of the lagoon that are roped off for swimming, but you are not allowed to swim out in the middle of the lagoon. That is just for the water activities.
I wonder if that's just because it's too far for a lifeguard to get to.
Probably. That probably has something to do with it.
Yeah.
That definitely has something to do with it. But there's the walk from the Conrad to the Evermore water activities is probably, I don't know, 7 to 9 minutes. I mean, it's a decent little walk.
Okay, so that's a hike, especially for little people.
Yes, but once you get over there, you can park yourself there. So there is this agreement between the Evermore and the Conrad where you can use all of each other's facilities. The only thing you can't do is room charge from one resort to the other.
Oh, so that kind of stinks a little bit, but
you can room charge things wherever you're staying. But if, as Conrad guests, we could not room charge anything at the Evermore to our room. So that was kind of
bring a credit card with you or something.
Yes, exactly. But the first day we were there, it was pretty windy. And so all the water activities actually were not available. So we couldn't kayak and we couldn't paddleboard that first day because of the wind. But their pool has a large water slide, a hot tub, a rope swing, and what they call cliff jumping, which is, I mean, it's essentially a platform where you jump off into a roped section of the lagoon that is 12 feet deep. So that was what was included in their pool. I will say, you have to be 48 inches to do any of those activities. And my daughter is 47 and they checked and she got to go on the slide one time. And then the rest of the time she got denied. So my daughter spent some time crying that she wanted to do it and she wasn't tall enough. So we had to tell her we'll come back after you're 48 inches tall. So
that stinks.
I know, it was such a bummer. And she's my adventurous one. My son, we had to kind of push him to go. And then once he went, he was fine, but she was the one that really wanted to go.
Okay. Did you guys do the rope swing? I can't picture that. Is it like you run and then, or is it like, how does that work?
So I did not do it. And I stayed with my daughter since she wasn't allowed to do it. But my husband and my son both did it. And they really liked it. But the lagoon was not heated. So the lagoon was very cold. And so they only did it a couple times each just because they said the water was, I mean, it was like a shock to their system when they jumped in. Yeah. I did do the slide. The slide was really fun. And then it was nice to have the hot tub too, once they were jumping in this cold water to jump in the hot tub. And then, so the rope swing was just a platform. Also, you climb up some stairs, there's a platform, and then there was an attendant up there who would help you bring the rope back. So one swing out and then you're supposed to drop in.
Got it. And then I will say I saw your videos and then I've looked up other videos of the slide and it's like a really cool substantial slide. It's not like just a little water slide. It's super wide and super long, almost like a massive steep slip and slide. It just looks like people are kind of flying all over the place down that thing.
Yeah. So they have 4 different we'll call them 4 different lanes where I think the idea is that you can race down the slide. And so 4 people can come up, he'll say, ready, set, go. And then there's one kind of larger bump and then a relatively steep slide down the bottom. It's nothing crazy. It's not super scary, but it's a great slide. And my son found lots of kids to race against. So it was great. It was really fun.
Okay. I'm so sorry for Kinsley. I'm like, I want them to, everybody needs to know, measure your kids 48 inches.
They were pretty
stand on your tiptoes or something.
There was one mom who her daughter was about the same size as my daughter. And she's like, I'm just going to put a top bun in her hair and hope that knocks her over the 48 inches. I think the lifeguards were rotating and I think it worked with some of the lifeguards and then not others.
Yeah. Tease up that hair. So did you guys eat anywhere over in Evermore?
So we had the second day, we spent a lot of the day over at the Evermore pool, and they have this indoor area right behind the water sports section that was a quick service restaurant. So they had burgers and pizza and then just kind of grab and go items. And so we ordered a pizza and brought it out to the pool. I'm not sure I don't know I think it's because it still is a new hotel, but the server at the Evermore pool said that she could not order the pizza. You had to go order it yourself and bring it out. But she did have some food items as well. We just thought the pizza seemed like the right fit for us that day. So there's servers there, and then there is almost like a food hall at the Evermore too, by the pool.
Yeah, I saw that on their website. It looks kind of like a new kind of upscale food hall with like different counters, like pizza, burgers, wraps. And I was like, oh, that's kind of a nice option just to be able to run in and, people could get different things, or you could all share a pizza or whatever.
And it's all right there in the same area. There's also outside of their food hall, there was a bunch of turfed area, and they had ping pong and cornhole and some other kind of lawn games out there that you could do while you're, if you needed a break from the sun. It was covered with they had a shady area there too. So that was another nice activity to be able to do.
Fun. And so then what about dinners? Did you head back to the Conrad? What did you guys do for dinners?
One more thing that they did have at the Evermore, my daughter got her hair braided, which she thought was just so cool. So that was just one more activity. Yes, we had dinner at, so we were there for 3 nights. There are 3 restaurants at the Conrad. And so we ate dinner at each restaurant once. The first night we ate at the Papaya Club. And that was kind of I think they call it a pool bar, but it's not really actually at the pool. It's near the pool, but it's all open air. It's kind of in the middle of the hotel. And it was Asian fusion kind of inspired. So we had wings, gigantic tiger shrimp, hamachi. And then my kids, they have a decent kids menu. One of my kids had a burger and the other one had a hot dog. I will say my son said it was the best hot dog he had ever eaten, which I'm not sure where standards for hot dogs come in, but
I would assume a hot dog at the Conrad's pretty good.
I suppose so. But the one thing I really like that we had been traveling for a little while. I mean, it's a short flight, but still with kids traveling anywhere takes some effort and some mental rigidity. So the one thing I liked about that, they'd been sitting a lot. They also had school that day. And so the restaurant was relatively close to the lagoon as well. And the lagoon there had sand. That was the Conrad beach. And so our kids within sight, they went and they just played in the sand in between when their food came, then they ate, and then they went back to the sand. So my husband and I could sit and have a great Mai Tai. They have a really good Mai Tai. And kind of settle into vacation, all the while our kids didn't have to sit and, wait for us at the table, which was great.
Yeah, on the website, they call it the beachfront Papaya Club. So it does sound like it's one of those open air, has a view, a little bit of sand, maybe a touch more casual than some of the other spots.
Yes, I would say it's probably the most casual of the 3. So that was the first night. The second night we went to Ceiba, which is the nicer Mexican restaurant on their rooftop. So when you walk in, so you have to go to the top floor, and then you walk in the first part of the restaurant is open air, and it's more of a bar vibe with couches and tables.
Kind of like a rooftop bar vibe.
Yes. And it's on the rooftop, but there is a roof, but everything, the walls are open. And so you can go kind of look out. There's a great view. You can see the lagoon. This is where you can actually see the fireworks for Magic Kingdom as well as the fireworks for Epcot. So it's that close to Disney that you can see those places. side note, there is also a Disney shuttle from the Conrad to the Disney parks. So it's not a Disney property, but you could stay on site and do Disney also.
Awesome.
We did not do it this trip, but that might happen in the future for us. So after you get through kind of this bar loungy area, the restaurant is actually inside.
Okay.
It's on the front half, or the half that's facing the lagoon. And so it's all floor to ceiling windows, but it is indoor. It had kind of a dark, moody vibe. It was kind of red lighting, darker. There's lots of lounge seating. There's other tables. It was a higher class Mexican restaurant. And so I ended up getting just some chicken tinga enchiladas, but they were not your Tex-Mex enchiladas. My husband, what did he get? He had a skirt steak, the arrachera, and then my kids had quesadillas. They did have wonderful drinks. My husband, I had the Don Pepe and he had the Margarita a mi manera, which translates to margarita your way. And so you can kind of pick and choose. I think he did the spicy jalapeno margarita. But the one thing, we just weren't in the mood for it, but there is a drink called the Treasure, and it literally comes out in a treasure box.
Oh, wow.
So it comes out, you open it, it's all smoky inside, and then you take your drink out of the treasure box to drink it. It's very exciting.
Sounds exciting and expensive.
Well, both of those things, yes. We saw it, but we didn't actually order it. They also had agave tastings, mezcal tastings. Again, we ended up there really late after our full day of pool day. So we were really tired. I don't feel like we got the experience that I would have liked to have had just because it was so late, but it was a really cool vibe.
Yeah. So on the website, so it's called Ceiba, I guess, Ceiba.
Mm-hmm.
And they say it's elevated rooftop dining. So it does kind of sound like it's that nicer vibe. It's only open for dinner. So you can't like hop up there for breakfast or lunch. And it's like that high-end Mexican. And then they do, let you know that you can see the Disney fireworks and theme park fireworks from up there. So that's pretty cool. Did you guys see any fireworks?
Yes, we saw the Magic Kingdom fireworks and the Epcot fireworks. We saw both.
That is super cool. I mean, That's awesome.
Yes.
Do they like pipe the music in or anything, or you can just see them?
No, you can just see them.
Okay, just curious.
That would be actually a really good idea if they did that, but no, they didn't. They didn't.
That's what they do at the Polynesian, which is one of the on-property Disney resorts, and they've got a little beachfront too. And so there's a bunch of speakers, and they pipe in the music. And I'm like, oh, that's so smart, because you kind of can still get a bit of
you kind of get the experience still. Yeah, no, you can just see them, and it's not like you're on site watching them. You should know they're more off on the horizon, so it's not like you're having this amazing show right over your head, but you can still see them, which is pretty great considering it's not a Disney property. The last night we went to Sophia's, which is also where they have their daily breakfast. So Sophia's is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we went to breakfast there every morning, but we did go to dinner there on our last night. And we had been hearing that they have amazing handmade Italian authentic pastas. So when we went, we ordered the stracciatella, which is a cheese-based dish with figs, basil, honey, and pistachio. It was delicious. We had the baby gem salad. And then my husband got the octopus pasta, which he really enjoyed, but he didn't enjoy it as much as my dish, which when I think authentic pasta, I really just want a bolognese. That's all I want. And so I just ordered off menu and got a bolognese because that's what I wanted. And it was amazing. And so I highly recommend it to you guys too. My kids just got a rigatoni with Parmesan and then a cheese pizza, but both were phenomenal. All of us were taking my son's crust and dipping it in my daughter's Parmesan sauce. So
Perfect.
That was great too. So that again they have indoor or outdoor at that restaurant. We were outdoors overlooking the lagoon. And so again, when my kids were done, they just hopped up and went and played in the sand, and it was wonderful. It just,
Perfect.
I mean, it's so family friendly. It was great.
Okay, and before we move off of restaurants and drinks, I saw on the website over at Evermore the super cute little like VW beach bar truck, almost like a food truck, but a
Oh.
drink truck. Did you guys hit that up or see it?
So we saw it. We did not hit it up. But it just on one of the beaches over in the Evermore, they had this VW that's been converted into like a little, honestly, I didn't even look at the menu, but you could order right from this converted VW bus, and then take your drink and sit in the sand, and it was super cute. There were a lot of little touches, as you can imagine. There's this huge 8-acre pool, and so there's just walking around the outside, there's just a lot of little things you can find. They had what they call Hammock Cove, which had several hammocks, so you could just sit and relax under a bunch of palm trees. There were, right next to the Hammock Cove, there were some cabanas that you could rent, and they had kind of like you see in Bora Bora, where they have the nets that go out over the water. They had cabanas with the nets that you could relax over the water, over the lagoon, which was
And
super
did you have to rent those?
Yes, the cabanas were for renting.
Can you like sneak in and get a picture, or it's pretty like you need to have reserved it?
Well, when we were there, all of the cabanas were reserved, so we couldn't sneak in because there were people in all of them. There were only a handful of them. There weren't a ton of them. We did take lots of pictures in the hammock. And then there were these little pods that were almost like swings, but they were huge. You could fit probably 2 or 3 people in them. And they were almost like a cocoon, like you could, I don't know, just kind of disappear into them and take a nap. Those were free. So you could sit in those and relax and have a great view of the lagoon from there too.
Cute. And then I also saw on the website, I don't know, sometimes you're like, wait, is this there? What is going on? They said they had like a water garden with a hot tub and a cold plunge. Do you remember that area?
At the Conrad?
Yeah.
I don't. So I think that might be referring to what they had at the spa.
Yeah, maybe that's part of the spa.
So we did not use the spa. It was actually my husband's birthday weekend. And so I did go to the spa at one point to see if I could get him a massage. And I think because, like I said, I don't think they were near capacity. They had lots of openings, but my husband ultimately decided he didn't want to go do that. But they had, you leave the hotel and kind of walk across this outdoor area. And I'm guessing that's what they call the water garden, because there were a lot of small waterfalls and very peaceful sounding. And there could have been a cold plunge inside the spa.
Yeah.
But I did look at the spa menu. There were lots of options. They also have a salon. Not something we utilized this trip, but my guess is all of that was included with the spa.
Did you get the vibe that the people there were there to just enjoy the Conrad, or that they were there to visit Disney and theme parks and stuff?
I saw some of both. So especially in the mornings at breakfast, you would see the families that were all in matching Mickey outfits or whatever. And then there were a lot of people just at the pools too, which, could be why the pool didn't feel so busy if half of the people that were staying there come and then leave during the day to go to Disney. And that could be a huge benefit to going to this place in particular, because you get to enjoy all the amenities without the crowds.
I saw a picture of the shuttle on their Instagram and it looked really nice, like leather seats and fans. Like it looked kind of like a luxury shuttle. It's
funny you say that because they call it their luxury Disney shuttle. So we saw it from afar, from our balcony. We could see where it would pick up and drop off. But we didn't go to Disney, so we never ventured over to go look at the bus. But
did it seem like there was one or multiple?
I think that there were multiple.
Okay.
I wasn't paying super close attention, so I don't know how long in between the pickups it was, but I do think there was more than one.
Yeah. On a Google map, like it's real close to Disney. So it definitely could be an option. Would you guys consider staying there for a Disney trip?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We talked about going with another family or two and staying at the Evermore so we could all stay under the same roof. Because again, you can enjoy all the amenities for both locations, and then flip flopping and doing a pool day, and then a Disney day, and then a pool day, and then a Disney day, and just really mixing it up.
Yes.
It is very close to Disney. When we were in our Uber on the way to the Conrad, we pulled up to a light, and the driver had been kind of messing with his phone, and he turned on this Disney music, and he was like, "Children, look to your left." And there was the entrance to the they have multiple, but one of the Walt Disney World entrances. And so we just created this whole, he must be used to doing this magical experience, but
that's so cute. But as parents, you're like, we're actually not going. Yay. We're going to remind them.
Yeah. It's very close.
Okay, I'm just going to read this quickly from the Evermore website because I looked it up because I was like, this just sounds like such an interesting property, which again, the Conrad Hotel is located right there, kind of within or smack dab next to the Evermore. Mm-hmm. So it says, the Evermore is a new kind of vacation destination uniquely designed for big families and gatherings, offering flats, villas, and houses that have up to 11 bedrooms. Obviously, there's probably plenty that have 2 or 3. Plus, the luxurious Conrad Hotel is there as well. Every vacation house features a gourmet kitchen, a private heated pool, which I'm not sure how that works, full-size washer and dryer, and parking. And then, of course, all the amenities like the slide, the rope swing, stand-up paddleboards, kayaking, restaurants, the lagoon, all that fun stuff. So I was like, this definitely sounds interesting, especially like us having young families and how I love going out to eat. Love it. But some nights it might be nice if you're there for a week to be like, oh, we have mac and cheese back at the place. Like everybody's so tired from Disney. Let's just go back and cook for them. And then we'll, order in, or some of the parents will go out or whatever. It just seems like it gives you a lot of options for that like chaotic Orlando trip.
Yes. I think that it was a great fit for our family of 4 to stay at the Conrad because that was all we really needed. But I absolutely would go back and stay at the Evermore. The Evermore also offered I think you still would get access to all of these things at the Conrad, but there's 2 golf courses on site that are Jack Nicklaus golf courses, that you would get preferential tee times because you're staying there. I did hear someone mention that with the Evermore and having your own kitchen, that they offer an in-home chef option where you can have somebody come cook for you, which would be great. So I do think that it offers some other options versus just staying in a hotel. The other thing I will say, the food and the restaurants are all pricey at the hotel. So we were there for a couple of nights and we probably spent a couple $1,000s just on food and drink. Yeah. So being able to stay at the Evermore and like you said, hey, we brought a box of mac and cheese and we could just cook something and, keep it easy and laid back and casual, I think is really appealing to, especially if you are staying for a longer period of time. Another thing I do want to mention that we did not utilize because it was just the 4 of us, but there is a kids club at the Conrad as well, which if we had stayed longer, I definitely could have seen us utilizing, but we really only had 2 full days there. And so we just kept our kids with us. But if we had stayed for a longer period of time, we definitely would have dropped them off and enjoyed some adult only time.
Yeah, I did see that. It's like one of those clubs where you can actually drop them and they can do some activities for a few hours. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I end every episode with, if someone out there is considering this trip, what is it about the Conrad Orlando that would make you say, just book it?
This property is unlike any property I've ever been to before. I love going to the beach, but I actually like to go to the beach and stay at the pool.
Same, girl. Same. I am the exact same.
I like to see the beach. I like to hear the beach, but all the sticky sand and all that, I don't love that. So this property is just, it offers, especially for families, it offers everything you could want out of a vacation to me. It's got great activities. It's great access to other things like Disney. It is geared towards families. And so you can bring your kids and they're going to have a great time and you're going to have a great time. I think it just encompasses everything I want out of a vacation. It's easy to get to, especially a short flight from places like Nashville. I just book it, guys. It just was a great vacation, and we will definitely be back. I hope to go with you.
I know. I can tell you're going to be back, and I do hope
Yeah.
to be with you.
Yes, I would love to do that. I would love to go together.
We'll go when the girls are over 48 inches.
That's
will be
right.
the determining factor.
Exactly. We can't be doing any of this 47-inch stuff.
No. Well, thank you so much for sharing all about the Conrad Orlando. I know a lot of people are probably looking into it, so that was super helpful. And I think I'll probably try to book you again for another episode soon.
That sounds good. We have been to a lot of places. Love to tell you about it.
All right. Talk to you later.
Thank you.
That wraps up another episode of Trip Tales. If you have a trip you'd like to share about on the podcast, email me at triptalespodcast@gmail.com and I'll add you to the schedule. Also, be sure to follow the show so that you don't miss any upcoming vacation destinations. And if you have an extra minute in your day, please leave a review for the podcast. It helps more than you could imagine. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next episode of Trip Tales.